Hello and welcome to Doing Sex. As you can see, today's episode is a little bit different because I'm not coming to you from my bedroom. I'm actually in Manila, the capital of Asia's biggest Catholic nation. This is also one of the only other two countries, the other one being Vatican, where divorce is actually illegal. Now, I personally have always struggled with the idea of marriage, with being tied down, the feeling of being trapped. But here, divorce really is final. No second chances, no legal way out. And that's gotten me thinking, what does it mean to be with someone, to be in a relationship, not because you choose to, but because you have to? And how does that shape the way we desire, love, and do sex? So I'm actually meeting one of the most iconic expert voices in the country to discuss exactly that.
Hold on 1 second. Hi, that's quite a knock.
Dr. Margie Holmes is a true trailblazer, a clinical psychologist, sex therapist, author, and media icon.
And you'll think I'm such a slut, which is true.
I don't know.
Okay,
There is no
like,
such thing.
promise.
Excuse me.
Okay.
We don't sex shame.
Yes,
we celebrate
yes.
sex. She spent over 45 years breaking taboos and reshaping how Philippines talks and thinks about sex.
Life, love, and lust. I love that title.
From best-selling books to talk shows and advice columns, she's helped generations navigate love, intimacy, and everything in between. I'm Sahar, a journalist on a quest to understand the world through the lens of how people do sex. So for like 15 years, I have done war zones. I've done really hard topics.
Yes.
I've done big investigations. I am finding sex one of the most difficult things to talk about. This is something that impacts every single person I've met around the world. I go to hammams in Afghanistan, women are having issues. I go to Nicaragua, people are having issues. And it's this common thing that connects us and we don't talk about it.
But see, when you talk about issues like sex issues in maybe, perhaps, I don't mean to stereotype the Middle East or someplace, it seems like it is literally a life and death issue. Sex and honor killings.
Mm-hmm.
Although here in this country, sex and unsafe abortions, which is still illegal, and I think a criminal act here,
Yes.
right? So these are the big issues. And I've helped, I've worked with some organizations that deal with that. But basically, it's still one-on-one, my area of expertise. I just wanted to warn you.
Thank you. No, I am glad. It's not a warning, it's a reassurance that I'm in the right place. So I really look forward to talking with you.
Oh, boy. I'm not egocentric because my books are just here.
But why wouldn't you be? You've written so many best-selling books. If I were you, I'd literally use them as wallpaper around my house.
Will you marry me? You're the sweetest
Your
thing.
husband is right there.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, by the way. Hi, Jeremy. So how did you guys meet?
Should I tell you the real story?
I love that.
Okay.
Only the real stories. Only the real stories.
As Jeremy likes to say, it was lust at first sight.
I really look forward to talking with you.
Oh, boy. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'll
so
be
how
quiet
did you guys
now.
meet?
Should I tell you the real story?
I love that.
Okay.
Only the real stories. Only the real stories.
As Jeremy likes to say, it was lust at first sight. I've been married 3 times before I married him, right? Not very Filipino, certainly not Catholic. We're still pushing for divorce to be legal here.
Yeah.
One of only 2 places, right? The Philippines
Vatican
and the Vatican City.
blows my mind.
Yeah, it's really, and anyway, when he wanted to get married, I said, I've already been married 3 times. I don't want to do it. I'm going to fail. It'll be terrible
So
for you.
is he number 4 or number 3?
4.
Number
And
4.
he told me, I will be your F and F. And I said, what's that? I mean, I love it. I think you're embarrassed and I'm sorry. I will be your 4th and final.
I
mean, look at this.
I got goosebumps having that story, but look,
But isn't that, yeah.
What is it with you and white men? Why do you always like foreign men?
No, big question. I won't say penis size.
Okay. I wasn't gonna ask. I was thinking liking it.
Okay,
And
we'll
you
do.
were going to tell me about your books.
This book, Younger You, I fell in love with epigenetics. What epigenetics says, I may give a little, is before we felt that genes were our destiny, right? In the end, okay, you study well, you do whatever, but in the end, you're locked into your genes and what your genes say, how tall you are, how short you are, how big your breast, everything, and smart, right? Not racially based, but smart. But epigenetics said, no, it's not your genes that matter. It is how your genes are expressed.
How does that translate in sex, for example? Does that work in the sex?
Okay, with epigenetics, it translates in sex. Because one of the things that matter are relationships. So if you are lucky enough to have not just great sex physically, well, even great sex physically can release a lot of your stress, right? So that's good. That helps you epigenetically.
So having good sex can make you age backwards, you
No,
say?
as you know, not one-on-one, but it helps, no? Having good sex, which is in a beautiful relationship. So you not only have terrific acrobatic-like sex, if that's what you like, lasting 3 hours nonstop. For me, that's too long, but anyway. But it's also in a relationship where you feel validated, where he will not lie to you and say, no, they're not, I'm not looking at your breast, looking at mine. No, they're not sagging. He won't lie to you about your body, but, he still makes you feel good about the body you have because he cares for you, he loves you, or in therapy speak, he sees you. He sees you.
Is that what good sex is?
That is what good sex can be, but not very many people can attain that or attain it for many, many years. So if you have it, you embrace it. And for me, God, he's an atheist, and thank God for this wonderful gift.
Like many people, I have always wondered, oh my God, am I having good enough sex? I have a friend who is like, oh my God, I was having sex for 6 hours. I could see stars. My fingers are still, my toes are still tingling. And I'm like, I've never had that. And I'm like, for me, honestly, if I'm like lying on my back and it's 2 minutes and we kiss, the cuddle afterwards for me is like, what did it? And I'm like, am I missing out? Am I having bad sex? Am I gonna age?
Yeah.
So I always feel like there's this like, shame attached to, or like the FOMO attached to, am I having good enough sex?
Yes.
So as an expert, am I having good enough sex? Like, how do I know if I'm having good enough sex?
Are you happy while you're having and after? For whatever reason, physically, emotionally, are you happy after you have sex?
Often. I think it depends who I've had sex with.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the important thing too, right? Absolutely.
To feel seen.
It sounds like you're happy, you're having good enough sex. Even if, and I'm not talking about your partner, we'll just say your partner is a premature ejaculator, which some of the best men are. But if he's comfortable enough, so you don't have to hide in the bathroom to masturbate, so you can go, hey, do you mind if if I can continue? And he loves it. He just doesn't accept it because that's what a real man does accept. But he revels in it. He revels in the fact that you trust him enough to show what your real sexual needs are. He revels in the fact and finds you so beautiful. Women are so concerned that when they have an orgasm, their faces change, which they do.
I get really paranoid about my sex. I can't even
get
my
out
face.
of here.
Honestly, I can't even I've been with my partner for 6 years. I still don't like him looking at my face, even during sex.
Oh, okay. Let's have dinner.
Dr. Margie Holmes, thank you so much for having me in your bedroom.
Pleasure.
So, first question, what's your secret to great sex? The number one advice you give people.
Love yourself, find yourself sexy, and find a person who finds you sexy also.
To kick us off, I feel like we really got to know each other downstairs.
That we did, yes.
But usually what we do is I often write a set of quick fire round questions, right? Just to get to know my guests a little bit more, right?
Okay.
The only rule is don't think about it. Give the first thing that comes to your mind really quick, all
like
right?
Freud, you mean, the word association.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's see what comes to your head first.
Okay.
All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sex or snack?
Sex.
Doing it for love or doing it for fun?
Fun.
Fantasy or reality?
Reality.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you're lucky, you can make your fantasies reality. And that's why finding a good partner is a deal breaker. If you don't have the right partner, you cannot. Especially, I'm sorry, but especially for consensual non-consenting. Have you heard of that
No.
fantasy? Oh my God.
What's consensual non-consenting?
I think it is very popular among convent-bred girls like I was. No, you feel guilty if you enjoy sex. So your fantasy is this guy. It's very non-woke. It's very seemingly sexist, but it isn't because it's consensual. That you're not consenting and he either overpowers you or he seduces you into having sex. But remember, there's, I must admit, I'm sorry, it'll show my age and it'll show my vulnerabilities, but this is my fantasy, like you're this. Again, I'm so sorry, it's all the tropes of what the dominant patriarchy has put on us. Like I'm some Filipina, native Filipina, and I'm running away from the conquistador, and he'll throw you to the ground. No, but he overpowers you. But as I say, in the end, it's consensual, right? But your fantasy is that you are being forced or you are being seduced in a way you cannot refuse into sex.
Can I tell you a secret?
What? You have it.
That's literally me. For me, it's like that's why I've often like struggled with loving relationships,
Yes.
because I'm like, how can you have that
Yes,
while
I'm so
being in a
excited.
consensual
Yes.
loving relationship?
Yes, no, that's why you need a partner who understands this and who can ride with it and hopefully has the same fantasy.
And you know what? I have found this fantasy amongst a lot of my friends who are strong women
I
who have
was- yes.
high positions. What is
Yes.
up with that?
Yes, that's exactly. So that's why I'm saying if you're lucky, you can make the fantasy come true. And it's different from the role playing. You know what they say? You want your life to be more exciting. Role play, you meet in a bar and all that. I think it's different because if it's a real fantasy, almost like a need,
It is.
right?
Because it either works or it doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why the partner really makes a difference. This is what really matters.
I love that.
Anyway, okay.
Okay. Talking about sex or having it.
Having it.
Therapy couch or dancing.
Dancing.
Really? What's the first thing you do when you wake up?
This is okay. So, I'm so happy I'm alive. That also has to do with age. Okay, I just want you to know. I'm 75. When I was 45, even 65, jump out of bed or wake up slowly. But now, having survived cancer, having survived a hip replacement, thank God, another day to nag my husband. No.
I love that. I wish I felt like that. I wake up and I go on my phone and I'm like, what is
Oh,
all
you
these
look
things
at
I
what-
do?
what you
Yeah, I
have.
think about all the things, endless to-do list.
Yes, well, I mean, you're like a news person. We rely on you. I mean, this is not BS, we rely on you to know what's happening in the world. So you kind of have this responsibility. The first thing is you have to look, now what can I share to the world that I feel will make them happy or more
Matter.
knowledgeable?
Impact.
But that matters. Yeah, that's why.
What's the one thing that people tend to get wrong about desire?
That desire and familiarity cannot coexist.
I have that fear. I actually always think that.
Yeah.
Can they?
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to say how. With difficulty, but they can.
How?
This will be a longer answer.
That's fine. This is the
Okay,
podcast.
okay. You know why I think? Because I write, right? And I love it. For me, this is, I think, my identity, right? And so I wonder what keeps people reading. Or me, what keeps me reading is if I don't know what the columnist will say. It's the same thing with sex and all that. If it's like it's automatic. It's like a robot. You know exactly the way your partner will respond to something. It's like he's not a thinking person anymore because his responses are all like in a box. You see, now that kind of familiarity will be boring. But if you have a person who looks at things the way they are and maybe will see something new in it. No, I never looked at it that way. It will, then you will marvel and you will say, God, I didn't realize you. And then it makes you excited
But the
about
options
that.
become limitless.
Yes.
Because
yes.
in reality,
Yes.
only certain things vary, but it's only within your imagination or your view towards the world that
Yes.
things become limitless.
Yes, and so you see, your partner, you're together, you see things through his eyes. So if you already know what he's going to say and think, it's useless, right? I mean, it's not. But so you're familiar, you know each other, you wake up to each other in the morning and all that. And then you, doesn't that ever, I didn't know you would feel that way. If you see that, then you see it's still alive.
Then you react to life together.
And then you react to life. And then it's that spark and that excitement, right? That generates that desire.
Margie, you're changing my view towards sex and relationships.
Oh, thank you.
You have built an empire
Oh,
around
wow.
sex and relationships.
Okay.
But when did you, Margie, not Dr. Margie Holmes, but when did you first come to understand sex?
Can we just say, when did I first come to understand? I needed to understand more about when I decided I wanted to be a sex therapist.
Okay.
Okay, I was in college. I fell in love with a married man, and I like to, and I think because he almost lost his job, he wouldn't.
Why?
Stop. Because he was my philosophy professor, so they told him, if you do not stop, we're gonna fire you, and he still continued. So I like to feel he loved me, but I couldn't bear it, so I stopped. Anyway, I fell in love with a married man, raised Catholic, with Catholic nuns who taught me for the first 18 years of my life, so very conservative. So of course, if you know a partner intimately, want to know him more, you have sex. I mean, so I knew that I wasn't going to get married a virgin. I mean, this is what was supposed to be important in my life. And also, I didn't want to be, in quotes, a homewrecker. In quotes, I mean, this is all the norms then, virgin or bad, right?
Yeah.
Bad. And then homewrecker, even worse, and all that. So I had to, but I knew I wasn't a bad person wanting to have and actually having sex with him. So I knew I had to, but I didn't want to just rationalize stuff. So I knew I had to have a greater depth of understanding. And that's when I said, when I grow up, I'm going to help people. So when they come to me, I will answer their question straight. I will not answer it from a merely psychodynamic or Freudian point of view and insist it's back in your childhood. Unless you fix your childhood, you cannot fix this problem, because that's not fair. And I won't be a priest putting just the moral on it. I said I wanted to be a therapist who would not shy away from the truth.
But what was it about this relationship that made you want to get a deeper understanding?
Because I knew this relationship would matter to me. And because it would matter to me, and he was older, more experienced, I knew sex would come into the picture, not the fantasy of consensual, non-consenting. I knew it would come into the picture. So I had to understand, because before I thought sex is, it's just for married people. And I didn't want to have sex and feel like a bad person. So I had to understand it more deeply, because it couldn't be as simplistic as no sex, good girl. Have sex, slut. It couldn't be that simplistic. The world doesn't work that way. But I was trained from, and that's why I knew I had to learn more.
You mentioned that you went to a Catholic convent school for 18 years.
Yes.
What was the conversation about sex like during those years?
Yes. Okay. First of all, in a way, I was very lucky because we had American nuns. Another convent school was German nuns. They were much more... The Americans at that point in their lives, non-Trump area, very open-minded, encourage thinking and all that. But alas, still strictly Catholic. Mm-hmm. So, but at least we had this encouragement of ideas and equality, etc. So that helped. So, sex before marriage, not a good idea. Or, a sin. But because they also believed that, you have to think for yourself. You have to find out things for yourself. That was the message I chose to get from them rather than just sex before marriage is bad. So even if my parents backed up that saying, I tried to look at the substructure, the subtext underneath even something as basic than sex. What is more basic than sex? I think it's the way you view life, the way you think, and so this is why I attacked it from that level.
What were you taught? What were you told about sex? Okay. Just that it's sinful to have it before marriage, or were you were you told more? Yeah, well, that sex is a beautiful, beautiful experience and way of communicating, but it is only for married people. That's it, I think. It's only for married people. And to what extent does that reflect the attitudes towards sex and relationships in the Philippines, if that's the messaging that you were receiving as a child?
Well, yeah. Obviously, but my husband and I like to talk about this a lot, about the seeming contradiction. And yet, we elected as president a man who was known to have like 6 wives. Why? And I said, because you think, and you're supposed to be a conservative country. I said, but see, that is still conservative. You just have to look at the deeper layer. But it looks like we Filipinos are non-conservative because we married a man with 6 wives. We elected him as president, but it only confirms our conservatism because it was okay. Because he's a man, of course that's what men do. That is the conservative attitude, right? It's okay if he has 6 wives. Oh, kudos to him that he could do that. Which is the double standard you were talking about. And I think this attitude not only impacts how we experience sex and have sex, but it impacts how we live our whole lives, because women are the other half of the society. Yes. And if inside of your bedroom you're not given enough opportunities, if you're not equal, if you're not allowed to enjoy, then how can you reflect that in bigger parts of your life? Yes, absolutely. So it's been over 4 decades since you went to that school, maybe 5 decades since, Yes. How has conversation, education around sex in the Philippines changed? Has it changed at all? I think it has. The way the nation's government legalizes, legitimizes, criminalizes or decriminalizes an issue, it shows you the level of their civilization. Okay? So now... Acceptance, yes. And so now they are concerned about teaching even people as young as kindergarten about sex. So there's a huge brouhaha about what's this, do we have to teach, blah, blah, blah. But at least they're realizing that sex is something you learn slowly, and sex is something caught, not taught. What the children and we adults pick up from sex is not what we hear, it's what we see. So Philippines is a huge Catholic nation. I think more than 80% of people here are Catholic. Yes, supposedly, yes. Of course. Yes. And then the culture itself is deeply traditional, tradition that goes back centuries. Yes. I was so shocked to learn that the Philippines is the only other country in the world after the Vatican where divorce is still illegal. Yes. That blew my mind. I'm somebody who doesn't even want to get married because I'm like, it makes me feel claustrophobic. I'm like, it feels so final. I'm worried about feeling trapped, right? And I have a way out. Here, if you get married, that is it. Yes. And of course, like a lot of people have to be virgin before they get married because there is the norm. So you don't even know what you're getting into. And then once you're into it, you're into it. Yes. How does that work in practice? Like, how is that even possible? Yes, you're right. It doesn't work, and it is possible only if hypocrisy and all that is allowed to thrive, which it is. And it does thrive, hypocrisy, because if you're lucky, you get a reasonable enough spouse so that he'll say, okay, we know we don't love each other anymore, live and let live. And then you can have 2 separate households or do that and just that. But then, of course, there are issues because if you're married, what about inheritance? What about, all that? So, and then the other thing that matters is you do not have divorce, but you have legal separation. Okay? And one of the causes for legal separation, which I think is important in terms of inheritance, Yeah, and in terms of distribution of, property and all that. If you catch a man being unfaithful, that is not sufficient grounds for legal separation. It has to be concubinage. It has to be you catch them like they're living together. Which is far more difficult to prove, right? And you have to be pragmatic. If you don't love your husband or your wife and you want to live separately and your spouse is willing, then you find an agreement so that if he changes his mind, you're not caught without any,
So even though you can't end your marriage, there are some legal ways to at least be separate.
Yeah, or you can just be separate. You don't have to have, legal complicity or anything. But what if you're separate and then he changes his mind and sues you for adultery or whatever it is? Then it is good to have maybe a legal document that can protect you from that.
I mean, that's so much just to be able to make a decision about your life.
Yes.
So I wonder, you have sort of been the iconic Agony Aunt in the Philippines for over 4 decades, for 45 years. You've written like 16 best-selling books.
Yes.
You were on TV shows where you were talking to people about sex. You've been writing these columns.
Yes.
People have been writing to you for years asking you questions, right? What sort of issues in terms of desire, love, sex have you noticed as a result of divorce being banned, being illegal, as a result of this law?
First of all, the level of honesty you can have with a person, even from the start. I would think if you were not a well-known rich person, but a rich person, but you still know you can never divorce your wife or your husband, I would think you would not be honest even about, what you have financially, because you never know if that will be used against you.
Yeah.
Should you separate?
So it's caused a lot of dishonesty in relationships.
I think so.
How about other aspects like sex?
Well, you see, because although people like to think we can compartmentalize love and sex, you cannot. Right? You cannot really, no matter what you say. And it's integrated. So if there is even one area where you are guarding yourself, you have not opened yourself completely, be it finances or your past history with other relationships, etc. You already have barriers that you may not need or want. Mm-hmm. You see, so that will affect your relationship. So knowing that you cannot divorce someone, knowing that this is it, and yet you want to protect yourself because what if this marriage is not it for you? Right? And who can tell? So you have to protect yourself. So can you imagine when you get married, because you know there's no way out, from the start, you can't be completely honest. You cannot make yourself vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And that is the only way you have intimacy, true intimacy, right? I mean, I think this is one of the things I learned. And that's why you can have terrific sex, but it's a different quality if it's a one-night stand, and it's a different quality if you've had sex for a longer time. Mm-hmm. It's because you know so much more about the person if it's more than a one-night stand.
The counter-argument to that is one of the big issues people are facing globally, right, when it comes to finding a partner, is that now there are too many options. There are too many ways out.
See.
And that is actually... A lot of people are complaining that it's making it too hard to actually find a partner. You have too many options.
Yes.
So you're like, okay, this one I'll swipe right, left, right.
Yes,
and then, that too many option has also created an issue. Do you actually think there's a world where not having an option, that you're with this person, you're trapped? Do you think that actually helps?
Yes.
Can that even be positive?
Okay, I see what you're saying. It's like arranged marriages, I would say. As they say, the research shows that arranged marriages last longer than marriages out of love or whatever. I can believe that. Arranged marriages, I think, first of all, the culture supports this, right? That's a big help. Your parents support that kind of marriage. That is a big, big help. Okay, so yeah, and then you learn to love a person because if you listen, there are several elements of love, and one is intimacy, and like you're both in it for better or worse. Right? It's a different thing. We're both in it for better or worse. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. Let's do the best we can. And if you see your partner is doing the best he can, the way you are, then you can get to love each other, right? It's like with an arranged marriage in terms of romance.
But before
you
we
can
get
only
into
go
arranged
better.
marriage, but talking about the fact that you can't get out of divorces, particularly here.
Oh, okay.
Can that actually be a positive thing where you are left with no options?
It can. However, you can get those positive things even if divorce were allowed. And you cannot get rid of the negative things unless divorce is allowed. Does that make sense?
I 100% get it because
yes. Okay, good. Yes.
Because personally,
yes.
I'm trying not to have an opinion and come into this with an open mind, but my bias is I am terrified of feeling trapped, right?
See?
And even though I have options, like I've been with my partner for 6 years, I'm still not agreeing to marry him because I want to feel like I can walk away any day. We love each other, but like that makes me feel like I'm in control, and that makes me feel like the relationship is more loving, right?
Yes, so, because you're there of your free will. Yes,
exactly. But am I limiting myself? Is there a world where, you know, how important is the option to be able to walk away in having a good relationship, in having a good sex life?
Okay, let's go back a little bit. I think you can still feel you can walk away from the relationship even if you get married. It's a matter of a different kind of trust. Not him. I know you trust him. I know you do, because you wouldn't stay with someone you didn't trust. But it's I guess, trust in the, what is this? In the way the world moves. Okay, so even if it's hard to get a divorce, I don't know if it's possible. Is it possible in the UK that you sign a piece of paper that no matter what happens, if we split, this is the way we're gonna split the money? Mm-hmm. Or I'll talk about money because in the end, it's what you need to live, right? I mean, so that at least even if you get married, because it sounds like it's what he would like, but you don't. But if you say, okay, I'll get married because I know it's important to you, and maybe it is to me, and if we have a child, maybe I would like her to be, get whatever you get from being legitimate and all that. But since I'm so frightened, can we have a document? And if it can be legal, notarized or whatever, can we have a document which takes into account my fears? It will force you to look, what exactly are you fearful about? What, that I can't just pick up my bag and go? Why? What does that mean? And what do you mean by pick up my bag and go? Literally, pick up my bag and go, and then I'll come back for the dishes. You know what? I mean, but write it down, the nitty-gritty. See if you can talk about it. See if you can go to a lawyer. So you feel safer. Mm-hmm. You feel safer because, yes, I'll marry you and all that. But at least I will probably never use it. But I know I have it.
So in that sense,
I think that will help.
What I'm hearing is having a way out is important.
In that sense, no, it's important for you. You see, it's important because it's you, and this is important for whatever reason it could, and I'm sure is a very valid reason, not just we'll say as a result of your history or your, just
for
me. Who you are.
But coming out of me for a second, and thank you so much. That actually really helps.
Really?
But coming out of me for a second, right? Okay. As an expert in sexology, as an expert in sex and relationships, right? Yes. For people who are listening to this from around the world, in countries where divorce is legal, right? How important is having escape route, if you would? I mean, I should probably, me using the word escape route really says a lot about how I see this. Yes. How important is it to have an option, a choice, to be able to be in a good, fulfilling relationship, to be able to have a good, fulfilling sex life, because you say they are one and the same thing?
Yes, I think it's essential. It's essential because what you call an escape route or whatever is the sense that you feel you can stand on your own. Right? Isn't that it, the escape route, whatever it is? You take away all my money? Yes, but I can work. I can build it up. I can work enough so my daughter will have a good education. I don't have to worry about her. I don't need you. So it's essential because then you see that people behave the way they behave because they love you or they care for you. And also important, they're good human beings. Okay? Otherwise, if you don't have that escape route and you feel you're stuck, even if it's for something as what we feel is superficial but others won't, continuing in the lifestyle to which they were accustomed, right? But even the man knows you're staying not just for that. Because I'm talking so traditionally, I'm sorry, but it's usually the man with the more money, right, or the job. Because he knows that you don't need him.
You know, you said something that really hit hard.
Which is?
I keep talking about me wanting escape route, but you made me realize something. Essentially, I also want to feel like the person who's with me, not with me because they want to,
yes.
It's because I'm desired.
Yes.
We're not together because
yes.
we don't have a choice, but because he wants to be with me.
Yes, exactly. To quote Eric Fromm, who's one of my best, I think he was a psychoanalyst, but brilliant. He said, immature love says, I love you because I need you. Mature love says, I need you because I love you. Isn't that wonderful? Let's end on that.
And you think that this having escape route, being in a relationship that's out of choice on your terms,
yes.
is how you can create that mature love.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
All right. So
terrific. Okay.
I feel like when we talk about sex,
yes.
when we listen about sex,
yes.
when we think about sex, we always think about like uber young people, you know, from like
yes.
the images that we see on TV in Hollywood
yes.
and porn comes to mind,
yes.
right? Mature sex and mature love aren't really as spoken about as they
yes.
should be, which is creating a lot of fear in people like me about getting old.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So now you're in your mid-70s. How
yes.
do you do sex? Are you still having good sex?
Okay. I think this is very good. It's a way to plug my book. I'm teasing because I don't know when it'll be written. I'm talking about getting older. And I'm talking about... So part of getting older, because it's something that I'm facing, right? So most of it's on longevity issues and, you know. But one of it is about sex. And I asked my husband, hey, is it okay if I put in the book that we don't have sex anymore, actually? So he got taken aback and he said, yeah, sure. Yes, you have to prove to the world that you're desirable even till you're 95 and all that. And what way to show it is by still continuing to have sex. But, you know, I mean, I get tired. So does he. I love a workout where I sweat a lot, you know, and all that. And we have decided we prefer to do other things than have to do everything, you know, like lubrication and all that, where, you know. So we're happy with this. You know, what is difficult is, meaning it's not whether you have sex or not. When you talk about physical, literal sex, penile, vaginal intercourse, we don't have that anymore. Or we have it sometimes, but it's not like before. Mm-hmm. 52 times in 7 days.
52 times?
In 7 days at our height. Meaning...
You had sex 52 times in 7 days? Sex?
Yes. I know.
Who are you?
No. I know. That's why I told him, don't be conscious anymore that we don't have sex now.
We've proven it. It's been proven.
Yeah, remember 52 times when I first told him that. You counted? I'm Chinese. I'm sorry. I'm Chinese. What do you expect? Of course, by the 9th time on that very day, I decided to count. Okay. Anyway.
You were like, should I be contacting the Guinness Book of Records? Yes. I need to start counting.
You know, when I told, these were people then, long time ago, working in a newspaper. He was my editor, right, in the Inquirer. I said, hey, don't tell. I just have to brag, but don't tell. You know, I counted. Jeremy and I had sex 52 times, right, in 7 days. Margie, that's bigger than some... What is it? GNPs? What is it called? Gross national...
Yeah.
That's more than GNPs in some lesser developed countries.
That's longer than most people lived only 100 years ago.
But anyway,
right now you've decided not to have full-on sex all the time.
Even, you know, it sounds like we decided. It just seemed to turn that way. And then when I realized, hey, you know, we haven't had sex in 4 months. Do you mind? He said, no. Do you mind? We always wondered at the part. Yeah. He said, no. Then he said, actually, I think I'm quite relieved. Knowing that you don't mind. And I said, me too. I'm relieved that you don't mind because then, you know... It's better, and then, no, because, when you get older, as you know, lubrication does not come as easily. So what do? Do you have a, lube there, which we used to, but after a while, you forget. And, it's not, with the heat, with the climate change, it's harder. But mainly, and me, maybe, I never found it difficult going into menopause, only after I never took HRT, and I don't feel bad about it. So when you talk about sex and imagination, it's still there. For example, I love it that he still gets jealous, and it's not an act jealous. I know he's jealous. Do you know what I mean?
So is it possible to be in a loving, fulfilling relationship without having sex?
Without having physical sex, yes, but I think
what
that's
is non-physical sex?
Oh, like jealousy, like, that he still thinks you're desirable enough to another person, and he doesn't want that other person to have you.
Feeling desired.
Okay, feeling desired, his knowing and all that. People always look down on jealousy, but actually it is, first of all, a very human feeling, and usually its existence, I think, confirms love, a certain kind of love, because of what they call it more neutral, mate guarding.
Dr. Margie Holmes, thank you so much for being here with us, and actually for letting me be here with you. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Doing Sex. If you enjoyed this conversation half as much as I did, I think we've done something right. Please, if you enjoyed this episode, like our podcast, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, share it with someone who might want to or might need to hear it. We're also available on all social media platforms, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And this has been Doing Sex, a Vespucci production. And I have been your host, Sahar Zand. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're brilliant. I love you. Can I give you a hug?
Oh, please.